how has the COVID-19 stuff, the closing down of courtrooms, all that affected your court and how you've utilized technology? I'm sure in a big way.
It's nuts how fast we were able to get this up and going. In talking to people in the legal system in other states, I think Texas had one big advantage going into this, which is that all of our files and court records were already 100% electronic. So I was already signing orders electronically. I was already using electronic case files and reading pleadings electronically. So that part of the workflow, I don't need paper in my job. The part that we had to creatively figure out how to replace was the place that people go to be heard and to communicate out loud. How can we replace that? And so actually this came up, so the week of March 9th through 13th was spring break for a lot of our school districts. And so luckily our courthouse had very light dockets scheduled anyway, because most judges and lawyers have kids, were out on spring break. But it was like Wednesday, Thursday of that spring break week where we started to realize the kids were not going to come back for school. And specifically in family law, that's very troublesome because all of our orders define parenting time exchanges by when school starts and ends. And so we knew we were heading for a situation on Wednesday and Thursday before the kids were supposed to go back to their other parent on Sunday. Well, the way that schools talked about it, they said, oh, we're just extending spring break. So then the parent who had the kids for spring break was like, I get an extra week. And the other parent was freaking out. And so we could just see that train wreck coming. And having practiced family law, I knew that the lawyers' phones were just getting, were just blowing up with calls. So we rushed to get out a standing order that said, follow the originally published school calendar. And then I was texting with my judge friends in Dallas and Tarrant County, and they did the same. And then the Supreme Court did it. And so then I think that really headed off a lot of problems and saved people a lot of money in legal fees. So I'm glad the Supreme Court helped us out with that.
That came out very quickly. In fact, I had seen on our local lawyers Facebook group, that was kind of the big topic of discussion for about 3 days. And then all the Supreme Court orders came out and everybody was really happy because I think they were all afraid that it was going to be a huge issue.
It was very much a proactive effort, I think, on the judiciary's part, particularly the Supreme Court taking the lead on that with putting out the first emergency order in quick succession with some of the others. But, those of us that don't do family law, we just weren't thinking about that would be an issue. And so I admire the leadership that you've taken and the Supreme Court's taken on getting that addressed quickly to try and avoid, or at least minimize, the disruption to the system. So we're seeing now judges are getting to be Zoom experts. We are now, I think, all over the state, every judge has had a Zoom account made available to them, is my understanding. And I'm seeing more and more, webinars and resources being put out there. I know that you and my law school classmate, Judge Roy Ferguson, did a webinar. I think that Jody mentioned a little bit ago, and I think that's fantastic. So, I know that one of the big concerns with doing online court was, how do you maintain open courts? And that's been solved apparently through the use of a YouTube Live link. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. So kind of how I got looped into all of this, I am newly on the Texas Judicial Council, which is a Supreme Court committee that has judges from different levels, and we discuss different judicial issues. So one of the committees I'm on is the Data Committee. So I knew David Slayton through the Data Committee of the Judicial Council, and he's the head of our Texas Office of Court Administration. And so because we had that connection, I think when he was trying to search for a video conferencing platform that would meet the needs of judges, he looped me in at an early stage, and I was able to join some of those early calls with him, with Blake Hawthorne, to try to figure out what service is going to do the best, have the features we need. He negotiated the licenses and started rolling them out to us right away. He has done so much work to coach the judges, to get everyone to accept it. Lawyers and judges we don't have the reputation of loving technology, right? I think judges can fairly be accused of hating and fearing new technology. And so I was very pessimistic about, are judges going to start using Zoom? What are they going to do with YouTube? I just don't see them adopting it. And I have just been profoundly impressed. All ages of judges, urban, rural, they want to do this. I think we all understand also the quantity of cases that we hear. Our docket numbers are massive, and there's no magic future days to reschedule everything to. So I think everyone was motivated because the numbers are coming. We have to deal with them one way or another. And so I have been very pleased with the judges rolling it out, doing YouTube. I thought there were going to be, 3 of us doing it. And I went and tried to subscribe to every court channel that was on the OCA's list. And there's so many of them: JPs, district court, appellate court. I mean, I'm just so impressed. And I think everyone really has pulled together to kind of, achieve the highest levels of our professionalism. It's actually been a really good time to be a lawyer or to be a judge.